The story of the United States presidents begins with George Washington, the first president, 1789-1797, revered as the father of his country. Born in 1732 in Virginia to a prosperous farming family, Washington distinguished himself early as a land surveyor before becoming the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution. He led the young colonies to independence from Britain, notably with the victory at Yorktown in 1781. As president, he established key precedents, such as the inaugural address and rejecting monarchical titles, reinforcing the Republican spirit. His refusal to run for a third term demonstrated his commitment to democracy, avoiding concentrated power. After leaving office, he retired to his Mount Vernon estate, passing away in 1799 due to an infection. Washington's integrity, dedication, and role in shaping the fledgling nation's foundations made him an enduring symbol in American history. Building on Washington's pioneering legacy, John Adams, the second president, brought strategic vision to the newly formed nation. Born in 1735 in Massachusetts, Adams was a skilled lawyer and political thinker, playing a pivotal role in drafting the Declaration of Independence. As Washington's vice president, he helped shape early foreign policy. Elected in 1797, Adams faced the XYZ affair, a diplomatic crisis when France demanded bribes for peace talks, escalating tensions. He strengthened the U.S. Navy, laying the groundwork for national military power. Though he served only one term, losing to Jefferson in 1800, Adams is remembered for upholding the rule of law and judicial independence. His personal life, particularly his friendship and eventual reconciliation with Jefferson, reflects the depth of a dedicated leader. Adams' legacy lies in his steadfast defense of the young nation's interests. Building on Adams' foundation, Thomas Jefferson, the third president, emerged as a towering intellectual of the founding era. Born in 1743 in Virginia, he was a polymath fluent in multiple languages and passionate about science and agriculture. As the primary author of the Declaration of Independence, he won the presidency in 1800 after a contentious election. Jefferson reduced the size of the federal government, cutting spending and taxes, and executed the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, doubling U.S. territory. He funded the Lewis and Clark expedition, paving the way for westward expansion. A champion of states' rights and agrarian republicanism, Jefferson left a profound mark on democratic philosophy. However, his ownership of slaves and relationship with Sally Hemings remain controversial aspects of his legacy. Jefferson's exploratory spirit and vision shaped America's identity. Jefferson's vision of governance inspired James Madison, the fourth president, dubbed the Father of the Constitution. Born in 1751 in Virginia, Madison was a diminutive scholar with exceptional intellect. He played a central role in the 1787 Constitutional Convention, drafting the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Taking office in 1809, Madison led the nation through the War of 1812 against Britain, a conflict that solidified American national identity despite significant losses. He faced challenges like the burning of the White House in 1814 but maintained national unity. A proponent of balanced power, Madison emphasized the role of constitutional government. His marriage to Dolly Madison, a renowned First Lady, also shaped early political culture. Madison's legacy lies in safeguarding the young representative democracy. The constitutional legacy continued with John Quincy Adams, the sixth president and son of John Adams. Born in 1767, he grew up immersed in diplomacy, serving as a secretary for U.S. delegations in Europe. A skilled diplomat, Adams drafted the 1819 Adams-Onis Treaty, expanding U.S. territory westward. During his presidency, 1825 through 1829, he promoted infrastructure modernization, such as canals and roads, and supported education. However, opposition from rivals led to his re-election defeat. After leaving the White House, Adams served over 17 years in the House of Representatives, becoming a powerful voice against slavery. His dedication, whether as president or congressman, defined the model of a national public servant. Adams' steadfastness and moral conviction remain inspirational. Shifting from diplomatic refinement to populism, Andrew Jackson, the 7th president, embodied the spirit of the common man. Born in 1767 in the Carolinas in poverty, Jackson rose as a military hero in the War of 1812, particularly with his victory at New Orleans. Elected in 1828, he expanded voting rights for white men without property, advancing political democratization. Jackson opposed the National Bank, viewing it as a symbol of financial privilege. However, his Indian Removal Act of 1830 led to the tragic Trail of Tears. His personal life, including his deep love for his wife Rachel, shaped his image as an emotional leader. Jackson symbolizes 19th century democratization, though his legacy remains deeply controversial. Tragically brief compared to Jackson was the tenure of William Henry Harrison, the 9th president. Born in 1773 in Virginia to a prominent family, he gained fame for his victory at the Battle of Tippecanoe in 1811 against a Native American confederacy. Elected in 1841 with a populist campaign using the slogan, "Tippecanoe and Tyler too," he delivered the longest inaugural address in history in freezing weather. Just 31 days later, he died of pneumonia, becoming the shortest-serving president. Harrison's death set a crucial precedent for Vice President John Tyler's full assumption of power. Though brief, his legacy lies in solidifying the process of presidential succession in the U.S. government. Harrison's short tenure gave way to bold leaders like James K. Polk, the 11th president, who expanded U.S. territory to the Pacific. Born in 1795 in North Carolina, Polk, a lawyer and politician nicknamed Young Napoleon for his decisiveness, was elected in 1844, pledging to serve only one term. He achieved major goals: securing the Southwest through the Mexican-American War, establishing the Oregon boundary with Britain, and lowering tariffs. Under his leadership, the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo brought vast territories like California and New Mexico. Polk governed with remarkable efficiency, but poor health led to his death shortly after leaving office. His legacy is a vastly expanded America, poised for tremendous growth. The challenge of unifying an expanding nation fell to Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, revered for preserving the Union and abolishing slavery. Born in 1809 in Kentucky to a poor family, Lincoln self-educated to become a lawyer and gifted orator. Taking office in 1861, he led the nation through the Civil War, preserving the Union against North-South division. The Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 and the 13th Amendment of 1865 marked turning points in ending slavery. His Gettysburg Address became a symbol of democratic ideals. Lincoln was assassinated in 1865 by John Wilkes Booth, shortly after the war's end. His humanity, courage, and leadership in crisis made him one of America's greatest presidents. Lincoln's vision of equality was carried forward by Ulysses S. Grant, the 18th president and victorious Civil War general. Born in 1822 in Ohio, Grant rose from humble origins to become a military genius, forcing the Confederate surrender at Appomattox in 1865. Elected in 1869, he supported Reconstruction, passing laws to protect black civil rights, including the 15th Amendment guaranteeing voting rights. His administration suppressed the Ku Klux Klan, but was marred by scandals like the Whiskey Ring. Grant's humility and dedication to justice contrasted with the political turmoil of his era. After leaving office, he wrote a memoir considered a literary masterpiece. His legacy is his commitment to post-war equality. As Reconstruction waned, Rutherford B. Hayes, the 19th president, took office after the contentious 1876 election. Born in 1822 in Ohio, Hayes was a lawyer and Civil War veteran who governed with a focus on integrity. his decision to end military occupation in the South in 1877, part of the Compromise of 1877, marked the end of Reconstruction, but disappointed many African Americans as Southern Redeemer governments rose. Hayes promoted civil service reform and supported education for black citizens. His wife Lucy, dubbed Lemonade Lucy for banning alcohol in the White House, created a unique cultural mark. Hayes' compromises, while stabilizing the nation, slowed civil rights progress. Reform was vigorously pursued under Chester A. Arthur, the 21st president, who assumed office after James A. Garfield's assassination in 1881. Born in 1829 in Vermont, Arthur was a skilled lawyer and a key figure in New York's political machine. Initially seen as a product of the corrupt spoils system, he surprised critics with the Pendleton Act of 1883, mandating federal appointments based on merit. Arthur modernized the U.S. Navy and vetoed the discriminatory Chinese Exclusion Act, though a revised version later passed. His refined demeanor and commitment to reform transformed his image from a conservative politician to a principled leader. Arthur's legacy lies in proving integrity could reform even entrenched systems. America's rise as a global power began under William McKinley, the 25th president. Born in 1843 in Ohio, McKinley was a Civil War veteran and congressman who supported protective tariffs. Elected in 1896, he restored economic stability after the Panic of 1893, fostering industrial growth. The Spanish-American War of 1898, sparked by the USS Maine explosion, led to U.S. control of the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico. The annexation of Hawaii further expanded U.S. influence. Assassinated in 1901 at the Pan American Exposition by an anarchist, McKinley's death marked a turning point toward global engagement, paving the way for his bold successor. That successor, Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th president, brought unparalleled energy to the White House. Born in 1858 in New York to a wealthy family, he overcame childhood illness to become a rancher, soldier, and politician. Assuming office after McKinley's assassination, Roosevelt advanced progressive reforms, breaking up monopolies like Northern Securities and passing the Pure Food and Drug Act. His Square Deal protected labor, consumers, and conserved millions of acres for national parks. In foreign policy, his Big Stick approach facilitated the Panama Canal's construction. A larger-than-life figure, Roosevelt's Nobel Peace Prize for mediating the Russo-Japanese War affirmed his global influence. His progressive vision reshaped America's trajectory. Roosevelt's reformist spirit influenced William Howard Taft, the 27th president, and the only person to serve as both president and Supreme Court Chief Justice. Born in 1857 in Ohio, Taft was a legal scholar and governor of the Philippines before his 1909 election. His administration pursued more antitrust lawsuits than Roosevelt's, targeting corporations like Standard Oil. However, his conservative policies, such as supporting high tariffs, alienated progressives, leading to tensions with Roosevelt. After his presidency, Taft served as Chief Justice from 1921 to 1930, shaping significant rulings. His love for the law and fairness defined his legacy, proving his influence extended beyond the White House. The global stage became the focus under Woodrow Wilson, the 28th president, who led America through World War I. Born in 1856 in Virginia, Wilson was a scholar and Princeton University president before entering politics. Elected in 1912, he established the Federal Reserve and passed progressive laws like the Clayton Antitrust Act. Leading America into World War I in 1917, he proposed the 14 Points to ensure lasting peace, envisioning the League of Nations. Though the Senate rejected U.S. membership, Wilson's internationalism laid the groundwork for future global cooperation. His health declined after a 1919 stroke, but his vision of America as a moral force endures. In contrast to Wilson's idealism, Calvin Coolidge, the 30th president, pursued a minimalist government philosophy. Born in 1872 in Vermont, Coolidge was a reserved lawyer who became president after Warren G. Harding's death in 1923. Elected in 1924, he cut taxes, reduced federal spending, and maintained a balanced budget, fueling the prosperity of the Roaring Twenties. Nicknamed Silent Cal for his quiet demeanor, he communicated effectively through radio broadcasts. His firm response to the Boston police strike as governor bolstered his reputation. Coolidge's integrity and economic stability made him a symbol of 1920s optimism. The prosperity of the 1920s collapsed under Herbert Hoover, the 31st president. Born in 1874 in Iowa to a Quaker family, Hoover overcame orphanhood to become an engineer and humanitarian, organizing relief during World War I. Elected in 1928, he faced the Great Depression months later. His belief in voluntary cooperation and limited government intervention led to initiatives like the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, but they were deemed insufficient. Criticized for a slow response, Hoover's later writings and public efforts partially restored his reputation. His tragic legacy reflects a talented leader overwhelmed by unprecedented economic challenges. Leading America through crisis was Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd president and the only one elected to 4 terms. Born in 1882 in New York to a wealthy family, FDR overcame polio to become a charismatic leader. His New Deal introduced programs like Social Security and the Civilian Conservation Corps to combat the Great Depression. During World War II, he collaborated with Churchill and Stalin, shaping Allied strategy. His fireside chats via radio reassured millions, while his leadership expanded the federal government's role. FDR's death in 1945 left a legacy of social welfare, internationalism, and resilience in crisis. Succeeding FDR, Harry S. Truman, the 33rd president, faced pivotal decisions. Born in 1884 in Missouri, Truman was a farmer and shopkeeper before entering politics. Taking office in 1945, he authorized the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending World War II. His Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan countered Soviet expansion, while NATO strengthened Western alliances. Truman desegregated the military and supported civil rights despite political risks. His Fair Deal pushed social reforms, though many were blocked by Congress. Initially underappreciated, Truman's decisiveness and straightforward style earned lasting respect. The Cold War challenge continued under Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th president and World War II hero. Born in 1890 in Texas, Eisenhower commanded the D-Day invasion as Supreme Allied Commander. Elected in 1952, he oversaw economic growth, initiated the interstate highway system, and maintained Cold War stability through deterrence. His administration enforced school desegregation after the Brown versus Board of Education ruling, though cautiously. Eisenhower's warning about the military-industrial complex in his farewell address demonstrated foresight. His legacy blends military strength, infrastructure development, and strategic restraint. Inspiring a new generation, John F. Kennedy, the 35th president, was the youngest elected president. Born in 1917 in Massachusetts to a wealthy political family, he served in the Navy during World War II. Elected in 1960, his New Frontier promoted civil rights, space exploration, and economic growth. Kennedy navigated the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, averting nuclear war, while supporting the Apollo program, laying the groundwork for the moon landing. Assassinated in 1963 in Dallas, his youthful charisma and call to service, "Ask not what your country can do for you," made him an enduring icon. Kennedy's vision was carried forward by Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th president, who assumed office after Kennedy's assassination. Born in 1908 in Texas, Johnson was a master legislator with a deep commitment to social justice. His Great Society programs, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965, and Medicare, transformed American society. However, escalating the Vietnam War sparked widespread protests, dividing the nation. Johnson's decision not to run for re-election in 1968 reflected his tumultuous tenure. His legacy balances landmark social progress with contentious foreign policy. Foreign policy dominated much of Richard Nixon's tenure as the 37th president. Born in 1913 in California to a modest family, Nixon rose through Congress and served as Eisenhower's vice president. Elected in 1968, he opened relations with China, signed détente agreements with the Soviet Union, and ended U.S. involvement in Vietnam with the Paris Peace Accords. Domestically, he established the Environmental Protection Agency. The Watergate scandal involving illegal wiretapping led to his 1974 resignation, the only such instance in U.S. presidential history. Nixon's legacy is a complex mix of diplomatic triumphs and a crisis of public trust. A new era of optimism emerged with Ronald Reagan, the 40th president. Born in 1911 in Illinois, Reagan transitioned from a Hollywood actor to California governor before his 1980 election. His Reaganomics policy of tax cuts, deregulation, and military buildup spurred economic recovery and pressured the Soviet Union, contributing to the Cold War's end. His leadership during the 1981 air traffic controllers strike and survival of an assassination attempt reinforced his image as a resolute leader. Reagan's Morning in America message resonated deeply, making him a transformative figure. Reagan's vice president, George H.W. Bush, became the 41st president. Born in 1924 in Massachusetts, Bush had an impressive resume, including naval service, CIA director, and UN ambassador. Elected in 1988, he oversaw the Soviet Union's collapse and led an international coalition to liberate Kuwait in the 1991 Gulf War. Domestic policies like the Americans with Disabilities Act advanced social progress. Economic challenges led to his 1992 re-election loss. Bush's steady leadership, diplomatic experience, and commitment to service earned lasting respect. Economic prosperity marked Bill Clinton's tenure as the 42nd president. Born in 1946 in Arkansas, Clinton overcame a challenging childhood to become a Rhodes Scholar and Arkansas governor. Elected in 1992, he balanced the federal budget, reformed welfare, and signed NAFTA to expand global trade. The Lewinsky scandal led to his 1998 impeachment, but he was acquitted by the Senate. Clinton's charisma, economic success, and ability to connect with diverse groups made him one of the most popular modern presidents, despite personal controversies. The challenges of the 21st century shaped George W. Bush, the 43rd president. Born in 1946 in Connecticut, son of George H.W. Bush and former Texas governor, he won the disputed 2000 election after a Florida recount. Responding to the 9/11 attacks, he launched wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, enacted the Patriot Act, and created the Department of Homeland Security. His administration faced criticism for handling Hurricane Katrina and the 2008 financial crisis. Bush's compassionate conservatism and resolve in crisis defined a controversial but impactful tenure. Breaking historic barriers, Barack Obama, the 44th president, became the first African-American president. Born in 1961 in Hawaii, Obama was a community organizer and Illinois senator before his 2008 election. The Affordable Care Act expanded health care access, while his administration withdrew troops from Iraq and ordered Osama bin Laden's killing. Awarded the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize for global efforts, Obama improved relations with Cuba and advanced climate agreements. His hope and change message inspired millions, cementing a progressive legacy. A starkly different approach came from Donald J. Trump, the 45th president, the first with no prior government or military experience. Born in 1946 in New York, Trump built a real estate empire and was a reality TV star before his 2016 election. His America First agenda included tax cuts, deregulation, and judicial appointments, reshaping the federal judiciary. Hardline immigration policies and trade wars with China sparked controversy, while 2 impeachments, over Ukraine and the January 6th Capitol riot, ended in acquittals. Trump's polarizing style left a profound mark on American politics. Finally, Joe Biden, the 46th president, took office as the oldest in U.S. history. Born in 1942 in Pennsylvania, Biden was a Delaware senator and Obama's vice president before his 2020 election, amid the COVID-19 pandemic and political unrest. His administration prioritized pandemic recovery, launching a massive vaccination campaign, and passed a historic infrastructure bill while addressing climate change through international agreements like the Paris Accord. Biden's empathetic, steady leadership aimed to heal a divided America, continuing the evolving story of the U.S. presidency.